The Democrats are living a nightmare, and Kamala Harris is about to make it worse because she refused to go away. Now she's going to be running as Democratic governor, it seems like, and she's if the state of California haven't been ruined any further, what do you think would happen with Kamala Harris as a governor? So we go talk a little bit about it. We go hear what articles like Politico and them has to say about it. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from PJ Media, and they report that California Democrat apparatchiks are approaching the looming prospect of a Kamala Harris gubernatorial run with all the enthusiasm of a CNN reporter at a Trump rally. No one is even pretending anymore that Harris is the strong, heroic, and resolute figure depicted on the cover of Time magazine in August 2024, much less that she is the future of the Democratic Party, as New York Magazine claimed around the same time. She led the Democrats to defeat, and now she tries to resurrect her political career with a run for California governor. No one says a Democrat's fundraiser is incredibly pumped. No kidding, really? Right? They know that she was a disaster. So to back her again would be another disaster. But Politico reported Friday that Harris is, quote, ramping up her outreach to longtime supporters as she weighs a run for California governor. But many Democratic donors aren't enthusiastic, still hobbled by the hangover of her presidential loss. And so as the former it girl struggles to regain the limelight, frantically conducting thank you visits, catch-up calls, and listening sessions, touching base with her most trusted supporters as she weighs her options. She is encountering a decided lack of enthusiasm for more word salad and the usual mix of far-left identity politics, statism, and resentment that she has to offer. Some leading Democrat donors even told Politico that they were actually afraid of a Harris reemergence, as her return to the fray would, quote, reopen still fresh wounds from her defeat in 2024. Leftist fundraiser Martha Martin observed, quote, there was more enthusiasm at first. I think it waned a bit. That's akin to Bob Uecker in Major League saying a pitcher fly wildly off course and telling his listeners that it's just a bit outside. Another Democrat donor said that Kamala was just a reminder of how much trouble the party of delusion, authoritarianism, and confiscation is really in. Kamala just reminds you we are in the complete S-storm. You know, I try not to curse on my platform. With Biden, we got bamboozled, I think. She did the best she could in that situation. I don't think she did. Well, maybe if that's the best she could do, then that's sad. I'm sorry, but it goes on to say, but obviously she knew about the cognitive decline too. Of course she did. She lied and covered for Biden, just like the rest of the Democrat Party who ignored it, because I've been saying for years how bad Biden really was. But this donor added, quote, I've written so many checks because I knew the Trump administration would be horrible, they say, but we're living in a nightmare because of the Democrats. I'm furious at them, truly. And this individual is almost certainly not the only one. And so as Harris prepares to run for California governor, one fundraiser explained that donors to the far left, quote, realize it's just going to bring up the whole pathetic last presidential, which no one wants to hear about again. And then it's the whole, did you know Joe Biden thing. She still would probably lead, but honestly, no one is incredibly pumped. And really, why should they be? Scott Drexel, whom Politico identifies as a quote, Bay Area based donor advisor who works with individuals, labor groups, and businesses, adds, quote, it's very fair to say there's not an overwhelming clamor for Kamala Harris to run to succeed Governor Hair Gel. Governor Hair Gel. I'm sorry. I love that. Drexel, however, suggested that the problem lay not so much with Harris' lackluster performance as a presidential candidate or with her difficulties in formulating an articulate articulate English sentence. The trouble, Drexel opined, was simply with Harris' Hamlet act about whether or not she really wants to run for governor of California at all, rather than wait until 2028 and run for president again. It's very hard, Drexel said, for there to be one, if it's not 100% clear if she really wants to do it. She's going to have to work for the nomination. Every day that passes, there's less of a sense of inevitability about her candidacy. Nevertheless, Martha Martin insisted that Harris's positives outweigh her negatives and overshadowed, quote, the concerns about baggage. I'm not saying people don't have them, but if she were to get in, I think the strengths are going to overpower a lot of that. I don't believe that for 1 second. What strengths? Unfortunately, Martin didn't say. Of course, because there are no strengths. She cannot answer any question straight. You ask her any type of question and it turns into a word salad. You can ask her a simple yes or no question and she would never she would never say yes or no. She'll find her way around it. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But Devi Meslow, whom Politico says is, quote, a political strategist and longtime Harris confidant, was confident, quote, I believe she is approaching this moment with thoughtfulness and a deep sense of responsibility. I'm sure she is weighing where she can make the greatest impact, how best to serve, and what the moment demands. It's a process grounded in experience, values, and a clear understanding of the stakes. Yeah, but associating Kamala Harris with thoughtfulness and a deep sense of responsibility strains credulity well past the breaking point. She may well run for governor, but it will take a whole lot of wishful thinking and fantasy for anyone to get incredibly pumped about her candidacy. If she does, for some reason, end up being California's governor, and like New York City end up giving that socialist Democrat guy the mayor seat, it's donezo, because they would never ever be able to come back from that, because they would destroy California will be done and New York City will be done, because these people cannot govern. But whatever Kamala Harris does, the media will give it a positive spin. Of course they will. They just like they Kate Ford when she was running in 2024, even though she was one of the worst presidential nominees, I believe, ever, because she's not that bright. She's not good at her job, never answer a question straight. It was just ridiculous. The whole thing was just ridiculous. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave y'all comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest news. Until next time, peace.